Welcome to the Honest TV podcast. We're the podcast for health professionals and the wider community, looking to explore diversities in health, ask smart questions, and have some honest conversations. My name is Archie. I'm an EP based on cities on the beaches, and joining me as always is allied health business owner Andrew, who is with Ryan Hebron and myself in the studio for part two. I'm about to ask a question to Ryan about inductions in private practice. Enjoy.
Well, it kind of, because like on inductions, we're talking about like how does a private practice then induct effectively when there are all of these things that you need to cover with a new grad? It's like, where do you even start? How do you even structure or begin to induct a new grad effectively? And you had some thoughts on it. What are your kind of main thoughts around that? You sent some to me prior.
We had a pretty fair chin wag before the session. I can't remember exactly.
Well, I'll hit you up. So
yeah, hit me
we
up.
were talking about working out what a person's, say, North Star or what their career progression or general direction of their career or sometimes what we like to call a desire statement is. So where they want to be, not in 2 weeks or 6 months time, but in like 3-5 years time. And then working backwards from there is often a good way to go about it. And then trying to make a roadmap. Does that kind of resonate with what you do?
Yeah, I think, and it takes time to work that out. And I'm sure some people, they never exactly define it. I don't know if I've fully defined it, but I've got a general direction that I'm going, or some values that I know align with certain roles. And yeah, I think like once you can work out at least the direction you want to go, and you're passionate about that, like that gives you a massive source of energy. I think, whether it's like fulfilling work, helping people in a way that you want, practicing in a way that you want, like autonomy of decision making or time, like freedom of time, just working out like, what does your future look like, and like how does that align with your values? I think starting there is really powerful. And then, I guess like similar to a strategy with a client, like then you can just start making steps and putting systems and routines, attaching mentors to them, or like helping them find mentors that'll help get them there. That's got to be some sort of recipe, I think.
Yeah.
For businesses or leaders or
Absolutely.
or hospitals or whatever workplace you're in,
Especially if you want people to stay in the profession.
Yeah.
Because, we are in a profession and an industry where there's such a high dropout. Within 3 to 5 years, we'd lose a lot of practitioners to other jobs, other professions, back to uni, retraining, that kind of thing. It's super, super common. And look, what we do is there's kind of two inductions happening at the same time, and one is like processes, schemes, clinical things that like you need to upskill in quickly and early, and we can't afford to miss the day-to-day stuff like that. But at the same time, people are talking with you, Andrew, and on a general basis, like what are you hoping to cover with people in their first couple of weeks in your inductions with them?
Before I talk about that, I think, like, from what Ryan said before, the assumption is that, like, while we have a 3-month induction program, realistically it's going to take 12 to 18 months for people to get up to speed, right? So while you have a more intensive period at the start, which is what you need to, like you said, get up to date with schemes and all that sort of stuff, in order to be like a somewhat self-reliant EP, self-reflecting EP, it's going to take a little bit of time. So I hope that I would consider a good induction to see it in that light. Like, we don't expect at the end of your induction period for you to be able to nail anybody that walks through the door, and you have complete clinical and personal confidence with everybody. So it's going to take 18 months.
That would be wild.
That'd be fantastic. It doesn't work. Not that I know of. What I do as part of my induction is more about the story of how we came to be where we are, and where we're going in the future. I think so much. I was going to say very fortunate. Like, we've got a few people in the business that have been here for a while, and so there are kind of like cultural norms or stories that have, through difficult times like through COVID, like have got us to the position that where we are now. And so it's actually more now, like my induction now is actually about sharing some of those stories so that people can understand why we operate the way that we do. It's because of where we've come from and because of the people that are here. That's kind of 75% of what I do. And then the other 25% is more about like the opportunities that come if you do decide that this is where you want to be, that you want to make a quote unquote career out of this, and career doesn't necessarily need to mean 50 years. It can mean 5 to 10 years, because we know that people will come and go, and people will probably have a few careers in their career, and that's just a reality.
It's normal, yeah.
So if you did decide to make private practice something that you wanted to spend a few years into, what opportunities might exist past that 18-month or 2-year point, and then how we could help support people to do that at that time. So that's kind of what my kind of induction looks like. It's far less of the how to do things and more of the why we do things.
And how does that then lead into planning for people's careers? Because I know you do some work in those inductions around kind of 3-year planning for people, or 3-year outlooks for people.
It's a new concept for most people. We use a framework called a desire statement framework, which is an opportunity to think about what you would like your whole life to look like in 3 years' time. Part of that is your career, part of that is your professional development, but part of that is also your finances and your personal life and your family and etc. So the idea is that, for a lot of people, they haven't thought about that. One of my mentor sayings is that people spend more time planning their wedding than they do their life.
I can attest to that right now.
And what we want to do is actually understand what is important to you.
Yeah.
What is important to you, and how can your job, because we spend a fucking lot of time doing jobs.
Wedding planning. Sorry.
Wedding planning,
jobs.
that too. It's a part-time job. If we're going to spend so much time doing our job, how can we help the job, or how can the job help us to live the life that we want to be living in the future? Right? And so that means going through a bit of a process and doing some critical thinking on ourselves about, well, what does that look like? From where do I want to live? How much do I want to earn? What do I want my weeks and my schedules to look like? What sort of clients do I want to be working with? Where do I want to be working? Is there more learning, professional development that I want to be doing so that this future version of myself I can be working towards? that is something that we introduced during inductions. It's also something that it's not just a once and done. It's every 6 months or certainly at our progression sessions, at our 12-month annual reviews, something that we discuss. It's like how, what do you want your life to look like, and how can we like construct your role to help you work towards that
within the constructs of the business we're in.
We are an allied health business.
Yeah.
If you want to be lawyer.
Yeah.
I can't really help you.
Can't help you that much.
Can't help you.
Yeah. We'll cause more workers' comp injuries. And you can defend rebound.
But it's that's the intention. Yeah. Which is also called a North Star, I believe. It's about understand the terminology is probably fairly interchangeable about understanding what motivates people and what drives people, the person, not just the clinician.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's super interesting listening to that. I think back to your question about an induction. I feel like there's no shortcuts with this stuff. I feel like that initial onboarding, it does have to be quite heavy with this is who we are, the business. This is us. This is what people like us do. This is our values and our mission. And then in conjunction with that, you're also really getting to understand each person. And like I said, the first time I went through that process, versus the second and the third, it evolved every time. It's an ongoing process. You do discover, I thought this is what, the way I ticked. I thought I was a passionate rehab guru. But I probably align more with teaching and mentoring, things like that. That I've seen my North Star shift quite a lot. Same with any professional development or inducting around the literature, clinical sort of topics, and the patient and the role of an EP. That's all ongoing. I don't think you can do it justice by being here's our clinical induction. You'll be good after this. It is start with this is the company, here's you, this is what you value, and then roadmaps, constantly reflecting. I think find mentors that ask you more questions than provide answers. Make sure you've got some sort of. Actually, you probably don't need to I'm biased towards I'm very hungry towards learning and I don't know if everyone needs to do that. I value it, but I think it is good to have some sort of ongoing system, whether it's reading research or listening to podcasts or books. Or just picking up the phone to someone in the field regularly. I think systems that you can somewhat see it going towards your work goals. I think that's quite important. The compound interest of that is quite powerful. And just I think in that induction, just acknowledging all of that. It's. You've probably heard 10,000 hours. It's probably more 10,000 iterations. You spend an hour, you reflected on it, you tweak something. Next hour, and you can't do that on your own. I don't think that would be a very good product. Like, I think, yeah, having mentors that are pretty switched on, who can help you reflect on yourself and what you've done with clients, like that's massive.
Absolutely. And look, we all have the benefit of being part of larger businesses that have the people who can mentor you internally. That's not to say that if you're in a smaller situation or don't have those readily available to you in the place that you work, doesn't mean you can't find them. Like SR or APA or the ACA, like the Cairo one, or APRA, like all of these professional associations have mentor lists available to you that you can go and seek out and contact. And look, often people will want to help you because, like you said, Ryan, your North Star shifted from wanting to be a rehab guru to wanting to mentor and lead and help other clinicians as well. There are lots of people out there like that who are looking for opportunities to do that more often. And often that starts by someone reaching out to them and going, hey, do you have the chance to talk to me about this? I'd love to just pick your brain about this thing or ask you some questions. And someone who's maybe their North Star or what they want to do with their career is changing, or they're a little bit interested in mentoring and helping other practitioners, will go, yeah, absolutely. Let's catch up or let's have a phone call. It's not always a formal arrangement. And a lot of people are willing to give a bit of time because it's something that they're interested in doing. And if they want to go into a role where that is something that they do as part of their 9-to-5 job, getting a bit of experience outside of their workplace is probably something that they'll do if it's something that they really value in their career. So reach out to people on LinkedIn, on Instagram, or over email, on the street. walk into another clinic.
Are you an EP?
Yeah.
No? Okay, next person.
Ask a million people. Someone will be. I'm sure you'll find one.
Maybe I shouldn't be in GWS. Yeah.
But like, if you ask enough of the people in your profession who you want to learn from, if they've got a chance for you to pick their brain and have a conversation, someone's going to say yes. And it's not always going to be an expensive investment for you either, because people want practice. And generally in industry where we like to help people, they like to help non-clients as well. They like to help other clinicians, especially in a small industry like EP or other allied health. It's all about like bettering the profession for a lot of people. So go and do that.
Yeah, and I think like that person you're asking for help, like they might know more than you, but they're still consolidating what they know, and like they're still working it out as well. So like, it's mutually beneficial. Like I learn a lot from, like having discussions and just asking other like people that I'm managing or students like questions. I'm just like, really curious how they answer this, and then you're always learning something.
Yeah.
So
like if
you're not like a burden to them, is I guess what I'm saying.
Of course. And I'm sure you'd have this as well, Ryan, that like if someone messages you on LinkedIn or emails you or Instagrams you don't, and they are genuinely asking you like, hey, I'm a young EP, like, can you help me answer some of these questions, or I'd love your advice, or to pick your brain about this. If I don't have the time, I'll send them to someone who does have the time. But a lot of the time, I'm going to answer their questions. I'm going to go, yeah, absolutely. Because it's interesting and I love to do it. I love to talk to other people in the industry. I've had lots of like big conversations with people over LinkedIn or Instagram as the main two ones. So just reach out to people, and most likely they're going to answer. And if not the first person, try the next 2 to 10 people, and you'll get an answer from someone.
Nothing to lose. Heaven forbid you just get seen on LinkedIn.
Who cares? Like, I've seen all the bloody LinkedIn premium offers and all the bunch of all these other people trying to sell me things. So when I get excited when someone's like, "Hey, I've got a like genuine question to ask you." Like, ooh, genuine conversation on LinkedIn.
Stop it.
This is very exciting. What a great opportunity. Andrew, I imagine like with quite a large LinkedIn following that you have, because you've got letters after your name.
So do you.
And things. Not on my LinkedIn.
Oh, should put them there. Put them all there.
No.
Just full lots of letters.
I'm not putting the
Makeup letters.
the MAICD
Makeup letters.
letters there. Makeup letters. Is that what that stands for?
That's it. Absolutely.
Do people message you over LinkedIn?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and I'll respond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With something, right?
With something, yeah. Sometimes the questions are pretty short and direct, and it's like, cool. Sometimes it's like just did one just before Christmas. Like, jumped on a call with someone for just half an hour, and they had some questions about, some NDIS stuff, and it's half an hour, and they had some questions, and I answered them like half an hour, easy. The ongoing stuff, like that's an opportunity, and most people, like most allied health professionals, got into allied health to help people, and most people now in managerial leadership roles, it's just gone from helping patients to helping team members, and so like you'll find a fairly good reception when you reach out to people.
Absolutely.
Because they're that way inclined naturally.
And if you reach out to someone also over social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever, it's also their public profile and perception and reputation that they're putting on the line by being on that platform. So if they ignore you, it kind of goes against what they're on there in the first place for. So there's also a bit of like more reason for them to respond and answer your questions. And you probably feel good by answering that person and going, wow, that was so helpful. Thank you. And you go, oh, it's just like NDIS knowledge that I have just sitting in my brain. Yeah. Happy to talk to someone about it, right?
Please let me help you. I know some things.
Oh my God. Nobody asked me anything. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You've got heaps more experience in this than us. Like, do you have any advice, Andrew, for, I guess, new grads or students finding out which mentors or even just like people to engage with on social media? How do you know the sharks versus the true like helpful mentors?
That's a good question. Recommendations are always good, right? So if you have, like, you've graduated from a cohort, like, ask them if there's somebody that, they've reached out to, they've had a positive experience with. I mean, I personally very much value authenticity with people. So, like, irrespective of the platform, it's just a reflection of them as a person. And I think I've got a fairly good bullshit radar, and so I can sort of see that pretty quickly if somebody says something but then they're doing something quite different, and that for me is a bit of a red flag, and I'm kind of out the door. So if you're following people on LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever, and they're sprouting the fact that they want to help people, and they've got this knowledge and they want to impart it, when you reach out, they should respond. That just makes sense. That's authenticity to me, and they should do that. I think being on there regularly as well, like having a presence, and one that comes to mind is Ryan McCarthy. I'm not sure if you follow him on LinkedIn, but he's got some Hunter Rehab up in
Newcastle.
Posts some great stuff on LinkedIn. Very much an authority in the work cover CIRA space. And I'm probably stitching Ryan up now, but like if you were to reach out to him, like I'm 99% sure that he would respond, and respond in a very favourable way.
You'll have to now.
Don't. Sorry, Ryan.
He also has a good podcast called the EP Growth Podcast. I would recommend listening to that. Learned quite a lot of good stuff from him on that one.
So follow people, like engage with them as well, right? Like yes, definitely cold outreach to people if that's kind of where you're at, but also like maybe you comment on a few of their posts, maybe you kind of like allow them to see you so that when you do reach out to them more directly, it's not just so cold, it's a little bit warmer and it's like, oh, I've seen this person, I've seen their profile, I've seen their face. I might be a little bit more open to responding.
We like a warm lead.
Warm leads are
good. That's the sales thing, right? You don't want a cold lead. You want a warm lead.
Yeah. You joked about it before, but like I've built up my LinkedIn following over a long period of time. But the amount of fucking shit that comes through my messages, it's just insane.
Yeah.
So it needs to kind of be authentic and genuine. And I will absolutely respond to it. But if it's hey, like, here's my new fucking piece of shit, I don't care. And I'm just going to delete it. Right? Join my networking.
Here's my new piece of shit.
The wine's done it.
What a great looking piece of shit you have there.
Would you like to join my crypto bit? No,
Yes.
I would not.
No, because I already have. I lost all my money. I think that's good advice for like, for social media. Even just like if I would love to see a snapshot of like who I followed on social media versus now, like 2 years ago versus now, because that you come out of uni, you just see exercises and someone who seems experienced, and you're like follow. And like there's a lot of people like selling the world and delivering an atlas when it comes to that. So, I mean, you've got like people like Joel.
That's good. I'm just going to pause on that. Excellent. I enjoyed that. Well done. Yeah.
Like someone like Joel Seedman or like even Squat University. Like I'm happy to throw them under because like I came out and
He doesn't give a fuck.
Wow, like that's a really interesting exercise. Like what's going on here? And then like, a few months later, you're like, that is just so stupid.
Maybe I should squat with a kettlebell hanging from my neck.
Can't believe it,
Functional.
man. Like, you couldn't pay me to do that stuff. But anyway.
But he's training like NFL wide receivers. So must be very important. It must be right.
And then I transitioned to like, all right, I'll follow him just for like humor. And then I got to a point I'm like, this is just like toxic. Like I need this out of my
He pissed me off yesterday.
Yesterday,
Joel Seedman pissed me off yesterday. I've talked about it a couple of times in this podcast. He did a post and it was basically a compilation of all of these people doing like really heavy lifts and blowing out joints and dislocating shoulders and doing knees and stuff in competition on video. And the takeaway was like, this is why you should never do exercises past 9 degrees of joint angle. Because you are putting your tissues like at risk of these injuries. And it's like the most gruesome possible injuries you could find. I was like, man, this is like huge fear mongering.
It would be a
huge
good
fear mongering.
It's a good like case study for like what to look out for. Like people who are like making a problem out of nothing and like solving, like providing a solution, selling that solution.
By the way, here's my course.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see
There
what
it
it's
is.
about.
And like if you have any questions, like read my blogs, I'll solve them. Like research, like give me a break. And then same with like Squat Uni, like things like that, where it's like they came today with this problem, I fixed it by the time they walked out, and you're like, what? Like you completely like deceiving everyone, like patients, like health professionals, like anyone who's impressionable because they don't have the knowledge to like critically analyze that. So I just got rid of all of that and following like people that I think are quite, like got good virtues and values, and like they align with my, not even my like understanding. Like I like people that can like really challenge my beliefs, but in the right way. So yeah, I think that's an interesting like element. Like you just, I don't even think it's worth like looking at those shit pages for the meme value. Like there's probably some like unconscious effects where you're just like, maybe I will just complicate this little exercise tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because I saw that little idea that I actually liked with Joel Seedman.
You're so fucking right. And you're in my head right now because like today I was then doing a squat with someone and they're like, look how low I can go. And it just flashed in my head of the video on his Instagram post of the guy like blowing his knee out because he squatted so low. I was like, get the fuck out of my head. Like, leave me alone. It's fine.
Yeah.
But it's like, shit. Like, I was literally watching that because it was like getting me a bit angry, and like I normally find it a bit of a laugh. But suddenly that was in my head when I was with a client. I was like, oh, that's not good.
Not good.
That's really not good. It's subconsciously affecting my brain, like in how I watch people move, which is not what I want at all. So now I'm gonna really consider whether I unfollow him. I might keep following him.
No, mate.
I probably will, but I'll be upset about it. I'm sorry, Ryan. I tried.
Nah, you can follow
I tried
him.
to unfollow him. It's just too funny.
Didn't mean to make you feel bad.
No, I feel bad. But that's good. I need to feel bad.
You know what I mean, though.
I know what you mean.
You should, I guess that principle of like, you're the average of the people you surround yourself with. Like, I think that extends to like just what you see. Whether you like...
Andrew, this guy's full of good sayings, isn't he?
This can be the Instagram post. Just we'll soundbite that.
Try to remember. An hour 17 was when he said something about the world and the Atlas thing.
Yeah, that was gold.
Oh, that was
absolute
good.
gold.
So I'll write that one down. And then there's 122 when you said the average of the people you surround yourself with. God, it's full of them. I'll make a reel out of these ones. Well, I won't because it's too much editing. I can't be fucked. But we'll talk about it. Yeah, we'll talk about it. Yeah. God, I wish I had someone who could make Instagram stuff out of this, and then we could look like experts and all that kind of jazz, and not answer messages.
Maybe one day.
Sell courses, 10% off if you say the code that's said in the podcast. Nah, I'm never going to make money. Oh dear. What have we gone to? All the wines are empty.
That was a nice one.
It was good wine.
It was
good
somewhere like, if there's a spectrum of like Ribena and wine, it's pretty close to Ribena, I reckon.
It's been a good like decade plus since I've had Ribena.
The Qui-Gon Gin red wine has been peppered today with this farm. Whoever owns this farm's pretty flat.
Incredible. Yeah. They're great. Good on them. Well done, McGuigan.
You took one sip, you're like, it's all bullshit.
I didn't taste any spicy plum, but it tasted good.
I've got a question for Ryan.
Whoa! It extends.
Archie said it before, right? Like we're all in a fairly fortunate position where, we're working with or in companies that have got induction programs and things like this where, we've got people such as yourself and such as Archie that like spend a lot of time and a lot of effort in kind of putting these things together for new team members that come on board. But we're also appreciative of the fact that, sometimes that's just because of the size or the location or whatever, that's, not necessarily functional for small organizations bringing new team members on. What would be some of your advice to like new grads coming in that might want a little bit more than what's being exposed in their workplace?
Yeah, I mean, like your workplace is just one part of your network. So don't feel like limited by the resources and conversations that you can have in those four walls. Like we've mentioned a lot of like ways to go about that, but there's some really good good courses and mentors available. You don't reach them by hesitating to message though and ask questions or ask for help or for a coffee, asking to shadow. Just be open-minded and I would say I'm in a privileged position. I like to invest a lot in my learning and I just don't really want to put like a cap on that. I think whenever I've invested in my learning, like it's just been so much more more valuable, the returns. So I would consider invest in yourself in whatever amount is suitable for your circumstances. Anything to add?
No, that's a great point. We didn't really talk about it during the bulk of it, but a few hours going and seeing different EPs and seeing how they operate in different locations with different clients. I think that's a wonderful way to get a different perspective on how other people operate and learn from actually seeing somebody in practice rather than the theoretical side of it. I think that's really useful.
Yeah, I've at the moment I've got a student who is on holidays and coming and shadowing in Marrickville, and I'm just like, mate, hats off.
Huge.
You're going to be better in 2 years out. You'll be heaps better than me. The way you're approaching it.
The amount of effort you put in at that point makes a huge difference,
insane.
right? Yeah.
And then students probably have the best time to shadow.
Absolutely.
The earlier you can apply the knowledge that you're learning at uni to people, the better. And those holidays probably a better way to shadow than while you're working as an EP. So
absolutely.
Hats off to that guy. He knows he obviously understands that investment in himself and his learning.
And big steps towards his future early on.
Yeah.
Which, might not make a big difference to how his fourth year of uni goes, but in a couple years' time, that's going to be a huge huge influence for how he is as a new grad coming out of uni with all that extra experience, right? Any extra placement hour you can get hanging out with people in the industry and with real clients is invaluable. It's incredible.
Because that is the biggest gap.
Huge gap.
You haven't seen any clients that. There's a lot to know that you just don't see from a textbook, or you see it in a textbook, but you don't understand it till you see it in a person and
absolutely
apply that principle or that knowledge to a person. So
and that's why you have clinicians who have been practicing for 20 years who you think are spitting bullshit, but are still, getting incredibly great outcomes with clients is because they're nailing all the other stuff that you don't know how to do yet. So there's still so much to learn from everyone, right? Who's been practicing a long time. The more exposure you can get to that, the better. You're just trying to get years under your belt, time under your belt. And the faster you can get time and experience under your belt, the better.
Even just think employability. I did placement plus in my holidays I did this, or I did
straight away.
I went and had a coffee with Archie a few times.
Yeah. Well, guess what? He reaches out to you in a year's time and goes, Ryan, I'm going to be looking for a job in 3 to 6 months' time when I finish uni. You're way more likely to go, absolutely, mate.
Yeah, you can have my job. I'll work on it.
Yeah. No doubt. Those are people you want to hire, right?
Yeah, because you're even if you're not there yet, where I would probably want a candidate to be, with that sort of attitude, you're going to get there. That's what you want.
They're generally the students we hire are the ones who invest the most time, ask the best questions, do the most learning. They're not necessarily
motivated.
Yeah, they're not necessarily the smartest or the book smartest people, or the ones who are the most capable right now. It's the people who you can see. It's oh, you're putting a lot of time and effort into this. that shows, and that's what's important to us early on. Yeah. Great. Lovely. All right. We're going to wrap it up. Ryan, thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you for part 5 and 6 in a couple months' time.
It's like Star Wars. We're doing the
Yeah. Oh shit! So 5 and 6 were good. 5 and 6 were real good.
So.
Yeah. Well, Empire Strikes Back and last. Yeah. They're great.
Yeah, I think 1 to 6 were really good.
Yeah. Well, let's not talk. We won't do 7, 8, and 9. or the stories, the side stories.
Got a Rogue One.
No, we got a Rogue One. We'll do it. We'll do a Rogue One.
Yeah.
We won't do any Disney Plus TV shows because they all
Mandalorian.
suck. And maybe season 1 Mandalorian. We've lost Andrew. We better start.
I've cheated out.
Andrew doesn't have time to watch TV. He's got kids. All right. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
See you later. Bye.